Hey, friends, and welcome to Lucy Smiles Living Room podcast. I am your host, Diane Lozo, and today in the podcast living room, I have Bernardo Juarez, A.K.A. the Unicorn. So we both have nicknames today. I love it. So I'm really excited to have Bernardo on the Lucy Smiles Living Room podcast. Bernardo and I have been friends for, I think now, well over a year. And Bernardo, A.K.A. the Unicorn, has many different hats, if you will, all that revolve around the arts. So from being a certified yoga instructor to a 3D animator, he's also a brand creator. He actually is the magic behind the Lucy Smiles Living Room logo and also the video for the YouTube channel. So I am so honored. And whenever I was thinking about who I really want to have in the seat to share a story of not only transformation, but of hope and of magic, Bernardo was obviously one of the top on my list. So I just want to say thank you for showing up for me every day as friends, as my yoga instructor, as someone who reminds me to keep the magic in my heart. And I just want to say thank you for coming on to the Lucy Smiles Living Room podcast.
Thanks to you. Thanks for the invitation. It's really great to be here. You have no idea.
Oh, I'm so grateful. And so as we get started today, I really wanted to I don't want to say showcase, but I wanted to, bring about so many stories that you've shared with me over the last short year that I've known you, and many of which have allowed me to really look within myself and find the hope within myself. And hope is I don't want to get too emotional right from the gate, but hope is a really special word for me because as I lost my mom a little over 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, one of her last words for me was hope. And I find that through the energy that you have gifted me with our friendship and with the gift that you give us with practice and also the story behind that, I thought that could be one of the stories that I would love for you to share if that comforts you, okay, is you had shared with me, going back to who you are and why you do what you do and how I met you in yoga, is I would love for you to take us on a journey of how things started for you and what brought you to this place where you are literally now changing the globe. And yes, I do want to talk about the programs that you have coming up in the new year that are not going to only help those local to Mazatlan, but now as you're expanding, why this is happening within you. I would love for you to maybe start sharing what that looks like for you.
Okay, yeah, of course. I think that the first thing I wanna say is I wanna thank you for sharing this with me. I didn't thought I help you like that. It's even higher than I thought. So it means so much to me. As I told, I'm really happy about being here in Lucy Smiles. It's such a dream come true for me. And yeah, I totally want to share with you and with you all guys part of my story because as you told, I used to work in animation stuff, 3D animation, and that was a big part of my life. But there was a moment in my life experience that really changed the way I could even look at myself and how I look my life. It was, I guess, 5 years ago. I just found something strange in one of my testicles. So it was really weird, and I was like expecting like maybe the worst. The mind is could be your best friend or a great enemy in life. And at that moment in my life, I didn't even think about yoga or wellness, or I was just like living the life without follow any path. Obviously, I went to the doctor because I wanted to get some answers about it. And what I've got at that time in my life was something called varicocele. Varicocele, for those who don't even know or heard about it, are varicose veins in testicles. So the thing I was looking and that I was feeling was those veins. The thing is that the medicine, the common medicine, has no way to explain how this varicocele appears in body. And the only way to heal was to make a surgery to extract those veins, thing that I didn't want to experience in my life. I think that one of the things that really saved me was that I'm really curious in my life. So I began to look for some answers, and I believe that life is so magical, because that moment in my life I began a relationship with a great man, Alfonso. You know him. And he introduced me to one of his best friends, Adriana. She's a therapist, and she works with archangels. And I began to take therapy with her because I felt like I could find some answers in that journey. It was so beautiful because I can really begin to know myself and to understand myself. I can share with you that when I was younger, when I was a kid, and I used to talk with my parents, and they asked me what was I feeling, I was like, I don't know. I I wasn't able to name what I was feeling when I was younger. And I think that it's really hard when you don't know and when you don't understand what you are feeling. We need to name what we are feeling to really understand and to go through it. Um, and then, as I told you, life is so magical. She introduced me to another person, another guy. She's an acupuncturist.
Oh, wow.
um, the um, the problem I got in that moment in my life was in my veins, my circulation. So acupuncture works with the veins. Um, so I was like, okay, let's try it. It's my first time there, so um, it was funny. It was funny for the first time because I obviously went to that acupuncture session because I wanted to heal my testicles. But the thing is that when he began to check my body, he was like, "You're so angry," and I was like, "Okay, I don't think so." I used to be all the time, all my life like this, as you know me. I don't like to fight. I like to avoid um, that kind of moments when you're angry or scared, or I don't like that. I like to be joy and happy and enjoying my life. Um, and then he was like, I'm feeling your liver. Oh, because he was taking like my pulse.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't came here because of my liver. I came here because of my testicles. What's going on here?
Yeah.
That was so weird. But then through two years, I began to study about this magical medicine called the Taoist medicine, better known as the traditional Chinese medicine. And mixing this beautiful ancestral medicine with my therapy with Adriana, I really begin to understand my body, and I found that the blood that work in our liver goes directly through my testicles.
Wow.
You know, because the liver is the beginning of this cycle when we talk about the blood in our body. And as I told you, yes, I was really angry in my life, completely. Um, as you know, when I was younger, it was really hard for me to live with my family, with my parents, because I was grown in a Christian family, um, and being gay in a Christian family is hard. It's like unacceptable. So through this therapy, I realized I was really angry with my parents because I wasn't able to be who I really wanted to be.
Right.
And that's when I found how life can guide you through the places you need to be or the experiences you need to go through. Because most of the people, maybe some of you that are watching right now, you can say, I used to get angry too, but I don't have varicocele, you know? And this is not just because of what you're feeling, it's um, why are you angry? And I was angry talking about my sexuality because I wasn't able to feel like free enough.
Right.
So that's why the universe was like, you need to work with it, with your creation part of your body.
And it's interesting when you say that as well too, because if you think about like stuck energy, it literally was like stuck energy. Maybe it's like,
Yes.
when you think like the blood flowing through is healthy like a stream.
Yeah.
And when we have like the muck and stopping, it's that the anger was stopping you from the flow of like the love energy within your blood. And then it's beautiful because I was actually getting ready for the podcast today and I was listening to Louise Hay, who I absolutely love.
Okay. Yeah.
And just talking about how our emotions create dis-ease physically. And there's so many doctors that we could work with. But when you shared that story with me over a year ago, it was beautiful to hear you be able to take that physical information and tap into it from an emotional perspective.
Yes.
One of the things that you had mentioned too is that we're given gifts of information and people. And I think the magic comes from being open to actually notice it. Because a lot of times little whispers will come in. Whispers, you're like, oh, I'm good. And then something as significant as what you went through,
Yes.
it's almost like you can't ignore it now. So I think that's beautiful that you were able to then tap into the different messengers and people that can come and share with you ways to heal the wounds that are stopping the flow of love.
Yes.
Yeah. And then how you took it to the next level in what you're doing to heal the world as well. So I just think that's beautiful.
Yes. I think it's all about to really learn to hear your own body. Um, as I told you, most of the times I didn't even know how to explain what I was feeling. So it was a great journey to really begin to know and understand myself, because that way I can now say what I feel. And even then I can get a new experience that I don't even know how it feels, but then I know I can go through it.
Yeah. How did it feel for you during that time? How many years ago was this that you had these experiences?
Varicocele was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yes.
So when you're going through being supported by these beautiful souls, acupuncture, and then Adriana, because a lot of times when we hear people's stories of how they've transformed, I love to take it into in those moments when it's scary to transform, because we've got the river of change, right? We've got the river, it's unknown, it's very scary. We want to take our canoe and go back and like, I don't want to go in it. So how did you allow yourself to go through the scary parts of like having those conversations, being you after hiding from who you are for so long? What did that look like for you? And was it scary?
Okay, I think that's a great question. I think that that's something I learned from my dad. I can remember that when I was a teenager, even when I was a child, I was so scared even to get into school. But then I realized when I think you need to know about it. When I was a kid, my father just go. I met him when I was 8. So I think I got his energy, his male energy in my life when I was a teenager. And he really pushed me to be like a better guy, to be stronger, to go through all those things that maybe I don't like. And with him, I learned and I realized that every time I'm scared about something, I need to go through
Wow.
that, because I realize that every time I go through this thing that I don't really like or that I'm scared about, I get like stronger,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
Um, so I really love that feeling when you go through that. Um, I'm from Mexico City.
Mhm.
As an example, um, Alfonso has lives here. So when I began my relationship with him, then he was like, I need to come back to Mazatlan. What are we gonna do now with our relation?
Yeah.
And I was like, huh, all my life is here in
Yeah.
Mexico City, my
Comfort zone.
family, yes. And obviously that scares me to go
Yeah.
out of that place where I used to live all my life.
Yeah.
When I felt that, it's like I need to go just through that.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
need that. It's like I got that like messages that life and like the universe is sending me to go through that.
Mhm.
So I think it's all about how you look it,
Mhm.
the way you look it.
Yeah.
So I don't got stuff in what's gonna happen. It's
Mhm.
like I can go through it.
And when you did go through it, because you've been here for how many years now?
4.
4.
Yes.
And when I think about, because I've only known you as Mazatlan Unicorn, what are some of the things that you learned about yourself through being able to go through moving to a different city? You were in a relationship, so you moved away from your family, and now you're in a relationship. Did you live with Alfonso before you moved to Mazatlan?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. So what are some of the things that you learned about yourself through being in a different environment like this?
Oh my gosh.
Very different than Mexico City.
Yeah,
too.
completely.
Yeah.
But I'm really closer to my family, to my parents and
Mhm.
my sister. I love them. Um I can tell you I'm a completely different guy right now.
Yeah.
Completely. I can even share with you that when my mom comes to visit me, um and then I don't know, maybe we're cooking, I realize she cooks some way and I have another way to cook,
Mhm.
and she's like, why you done things like that? Because I didn't show you to make it like this,
Right. Also, you changed the way.
So yeah, I began to find like my way in this case to cook,
Right. Your
to
own.
get my result. And I think this is really beautiful because I think that's been Bernardo all his life,
Mm.
looking for his own path
Yeah.
and his own way to go through all the things. And I can share with you that the way I live right now is completely different than the way my parents live
Right.
their own lives.
Mhm.
And I'm really happy about that.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
And that's one thing too is being able to kind of break patterns or break.
Yeah, completely.
They talk about a lot of lately it's a lot of like generational trauma and different things like that, but it is about being able to create new patterns so that you could break from the old things that maybe wouldn't be helping you grow.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
How does your mom feel when she sees you cooking a different way?
It's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And it's even weird for me because when she told me I teach you just to make it like that, it's like I can't even remember that.
Mm. Yeah, it doesn't. You don't.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like no, I can't remember that. I've been like this all my life, and that's a lie.
Amazing.
Yes.
I want to share because I do reference you as the unicorn. So even if I say I'm going out for lunch, Anthony will say, "Who are you going with?" I'm going out with the unicorn. So when I met you, our dear friend Camilla introduced me to you. I was looking to find somewhere to do yoga in Mazatlan. She told me that she met the perfect person. So I remember, meeting you for the first time is about a year and a half ago. And I literally said to Camilla, he is a unicorn. Like the way that you teach, the energy that you provided for the class was just so different and so unique. And then I only realized after that you had a unicorn tattoo.
Yes.
So that's when I thought this is so wild. I didn't call you the unicorn. We didn't call you the unicorn because of your tattoo.
Because of, oh my
We called you
gosh.
because you were just a unicorn.
Oh, wow.
And then I noticed after your tattoo.
Yeah.
So I would love, this is a very special story of yours. And so I would love it if you could share, because that's something that,
So
I mean, it's
emotional.
so magical and so emotional. So if you're okay with that, I just,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Mm, it's really funny too, because I got this unicorn tattoo maybe, I don't know, like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
I think. Um I the story I'm gonna tell you, I was in a therapy with Adriana. One of the hardest things in my relation with my family, with my parents, is that when my father just was gone, I took his place. So when I was a kid, I my energy was not like the kid. I used to be like um the father in the family, you know. I used to be um like take care in my mom, because I was like, I'm so in love with you. I need to take care of you. And then I grew up and I realized about it, and I decided to work with it, you know, because I think that's one of the things that we need to let go, and just to learn which is your place in your family. um and through this therapy with Adriana, um she asked me if I was the oldest, and I thought I was the oldest of all the brothers, because for me it was just my sister and I. But through this therapy, I found that we are 5 brothers in my family. Before I was born, uh 2 of my brothers just died. They weren't able even to live, to get into this world. um and next to me there was another, his name is Edgar. He was able to born, but he was not, his body was not complete. So he just lived for 2 hours and then he died. So I'm in the middle of my brothers. um and I wanted to feel the energy of my brothers. And through this therapy with the archangels, Adriana was like, you know what I'm feeling? A unicorn with a green horn. And I was like having a meditation in that moment of my therapy, and I was like, what's going on here? Because the unicorn, I decided to tattoo before that therapy, got a green horn. Wow. And it was like realizing that all my brothers has been all the time next to me in my life. But the way they decided to get into me was with this magical creature. um so I can now understand why I've been all my life like in love with this magical unicorns. You know, why I feel so in touch with them, and comfortable and strong, and I don't know, it's really beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, to know they got into my life by another way, you know.
It's amazing because we can't measure energy in that way, but it's like palpable. You could still feel it, even though it's like we can't measure it in terms of like proving it.
Yes.
But you knew the whole time that
Yes.
that energy. And I think many of us who have either lost someone or lost, family members or friends, is it feels great to believe. Like, it feels great to believe and to know that we could walk with knowing that we don't have to feel like we're walking alone, and we have those angels around us
Yes.
to guide us. And so, and I know you've talked a lot about your friend Adriana, who's helped you along the way. I still want to meet her. I think it's just beautiful. So whenever you had decided to share your truth, so you shared your truth, and then moving forward, how did all of what you're doing now start to unfold for you? Because I know even recently you have made some significant shifts in being more open with your voice towards the
Yes.
gifts that you're sharing with the world, and we could talk more about those at the end of the show. But how do you feel as you're continuing to move forward and saying, I need to make changes in my life and shift from things that you know are not serving you as much? What did that look like for you? Like changing like roles or moving through careers, or even, and you don't have to leave them, but maybe
Yes.
reevaluating how they serve you and how you're able to bring forward, so that you could feel like you're in your own power. Because I feel like that's what I've known of you,
Yes.
is your truth keeps on coming out in different ways, and you're very conscious of reevaluating where you're sharing your gifts.
It's really magical, because I didn't thought about being a yoga instructor or even to talk about Taoist medicine in my life. Never, never in my life. Um, even when I was younger, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a dancer. No,
Yeah.
then I couldn't. Well, I I know I could be able to be like a dancer. Um, the thing is, I didn't want to. I was scared because of my parents. Um, I don't know. It's so magical. I feel like I'm getting through my path. You know, um, even when I look back and when I remember when I was like so into 3D animation, I really loved it. It was a magical experience too. But it was really hard. It was like some days I was like working and working and working and working and working so hard all the time. I had no time to eat or to rest enough. Um, and I know that's part of that career. I always know about it. And I enjoy it when I was younger, and I will when I lived the experience. Um, but then when Mariko still appears in my life, and I begin to get in touch with myself and with who I really am, it's like I felt something more. And when I found that path, when I can feel really comfortable with me, and when I understand I can be whatever, whoever I want to be, it's like, oh my God, I want to share it with the world, because I love how it feels in my life, in my body. And I would love to know that everybody is experiencing like this freedom. I think this like one of the um greatest words in my life, like talking about freedom.
Yeah.
I didn't used to feel free enough in talking about maybe all the areas in my life, all the stuff, not just about sexuality. And now I can tell you, I can share with you that I feel really free about being or doing whatever I wanna do.
Right. And then you allow it to change over time.
Yes.
One of the things I could say too, because we've had so many people that I know like attend your yoga. We've done a beautiful retreat with you, and I know we're going to plan another one for 2025 at the beautiful location. Two beautiful locations actually to be discussed. Is whenever you are shining your own light, and my tagline is follow the magic that ignites your inner essence. That's something that I felt from you right away. So as we guides here, whatever that looks like, whether it's yoga, acupuncture, teaching, It doesn't matter what it is, the vehicle that we use to be ourselves. That's the one thing that I found about you, is that by seeing you move through your life with being your own self, it gives people permission to take a look at themselves and say, where am I, number one, maybe not allowing my freedom to shine, and it's different for everyone.
Yes.
But also, where am I still saying yes to things that are no longer serving me?
Yeah.
And that's very scary. And so one of the things I always like to share is, when you find yourself a community that can support you in that, it allows you to feel less alone. And so that's one of the things that I love about the work that you do, is that you've built a community around reminding people that it's okay to shine, and you shine in the way that you're meant to. It doesn't have to be the same that I'm going
Yeah,
to.
of course.
But the work that you do and the gifts that you've offered are you being totally in your light. And I think that's what draws people to you. So I think that's just, it's so beautiful.
Yes, I think it's all about being your own unicorn.
I
Like,
love it.
found what makes you unique, what makes you different, and that's not bad. I think that's two words that I've been trying so hard to take out of my vocabulary, and it's good and bad.
Ooh.
Just to let me live the experience
Without judging it.
as yes.
Wow. Tell me how did that come about for you to realize that you don't want to use those words? Because I've never really thought about that. Just let things be as they are instead of defining them.
Yes.
So where did that come from for you? Like, what made you decide to claim that?
Oh, it was through all my journey, even when I experienced, varicocele was everything for me. And I can tell you, I can share with you that was one of the better experiences I have had in my life, because that completely changed my life. When I got into yoga, for example, I'm making a poster, but then I can look to another girl or guy, and it's like, why is he able to make it even bigger, but why he can't? So it's like none of them are good or bad. That's just their posters.
Yeah.
I think it's something yoga has shown me through my path, through my way. Not judge, just to look at myself, not just my body. Look at my mind and my feelings, and just be conscious of myself without judge. I think that when we judge, when we say, "Oh, it's good" or "It's bad," we're printing some energy to it.
I agree.
So it's something I don't really like. I just want to make it flow.
Let's talk about yoga, the unicorn flow. So your brand. First, I want to actually touch on what you said, because I think it's really important. One of the things when you're talking about one person's, this far in something, and maybe this person's not as far, as it good or is it bad, is, I've learned a long time ago, is that you can't, compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 10. So when someone is like far into something because they've done it for so long, and you're just starting out with something, you can't compare like your process to somebody else's.
Yes.
And I actually was having a business conversation with someone literally 2 nights ago, and they were sharing something, and it caught my attention when they said, "This is my process."
Yes.
And I thought, exactly. It doesn't matter if there's 100 other people doing the same thing. We all have our own process, our own timeline, our own experience. And so when we can just honor that and love it instead of judge it, then we shift the imprint of what we're permitting it to be. Because as you said, and I've learned this actually working with this gentleman, Dr. Zach Bush, I went to his beautiful event in October, and it was along those same lines, is that if you put an imprint on something, you're giving it permission to be that imprint. And we don't realize how energetically crazy that could be. So even in a relationship, we had this conversation on another podcast, is if we have a judgment of someone, like how he is, then we're going to create finding other ways for him or her to be that way.
Yes.
So it's beautiful that you said it, that we create these imprints. So if we decided something's not good or bad, we're not always saying, well, is it good or is it bad? It's
Yes.
neither.
Just think about it. Maybe I could tell you that varicocele was a bad experience in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can tell you it was a great experience in my life, And I can share that it was bad in some ways because obviously it hurts,
Mm-hmm.
but it helps me to really look at myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think each experience in our lives can have a good and our bad side,
Mm-hmm.
but I decided to just take them out
Yeah.
of my mind
Mm-hmm.
and just go through it.
I would love for you, because I remember now too, you have yoga in your life because of this experience. So the gift
Yes.
was, can you share, because it was really powerful when you shared the moments of literally being months without being able to move, and then how this
Oh,
happened. Like,
wow.
it's so beautiful. I would love for, because it could really resonate with people, is like in
Yes.
those moments of like the actual experience. I'd love for you to take us on that
Okay.
journey.
I think this could be really helpful for so much people.
Yeah.
Um, at the end, I decided to get my surgery
Mm-hmm.
to heal my body. It was really hard for me. Um, and when I get out of the surgery, the answer of my doctor was it was harder than I thought,
Wow.
and he was sure that varicocele uh, will appear again, and then maybe I will get something called hydrocele.
What is that?
Um, when your body gets really really hard or go through something really hard for it, what your body does is to stock some water. In this case, my testicles
Mm-hmm.
will retain water, just to protect itself.
Wow,
You
that's
know?
scary.
Yes. So again, I will need another surgery to extract the water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it was really hard for me that moment in my life. It was like, I think that the hardest was like, okay, I wasn't able to make it. I was working so hard to understand myself and to let go of my emotions, but I felt like I lost my time in that moment in my life.
Mm-hmm. How
Um,
long were you going through this? Because I know you mentioned that you were like stuck in bed for, like, what did that look like for you? Because that's scary to think of being by yourself going through that. How long of that period was it when you were
you,
going through?
you mean after the surgery, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It was 3 months.
Wow.
3 months in bed just to let my body heal completely.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that 3 months in bed, when I used to ride my bike, dance,
Yeah.
work out at the gym,
Yeah.
I love to move my body. So being stuck there, my mind was a completely chaos. And after all the things that the doctor told me, obviously I was expecting the worst again. Um, but then again appears Adriana. I know I've been talking so much about her, but she's been a great human being in my life, and she's been really important in my process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she shared with me some YouTube videos um, of a girl who was talking about the chakras.
Ah.
And by that moment in my life, through all the work I've done with myself, I I knew that all my body was energy. So when I began to look these videos about the chakras, about these energetic centers in my body, it was like, yeah, that makes sense to me completely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that girl began to explain how each chakra works and how we can balance the energy of the chakra. And the first thing she said was, yoga is the best way to balance your energy. And it was like, oh my gosh, I need to try it.
Yeah. So you never really did yoga at all before?
I
Never, it didn't mean the same thing to you?
I practiced yoga, I think 8 years ago, but I didn't decide to practice yoga because of my energy. I was just thinking about the stretching in my body. It was, I was thinking just to make it physical.
Yeah.
But at that point in my life, it was like yoga is not just a physical. It's it moves your energy, your emotions, works with your mind, with your soul even. um I wasn't able to move in that moment, so I began to make some breath work, because there's no yoga if you don't learn how to breathe.
Yeah.
You need to keep them
Together.
yeah, all the time.
I forget that sometimes in class. And I know you see
Yeah,
me.
I know.
I get the look.
You're not the only one. Yes.
Good. Yay. Amazing.
But I can tell you that even working and making that breath work wasn't enough for me. I was really anxious.
Yeah.
Really, really anxious. So I decided to begin to meditate, to make some meditations. Um, and I think that began to meditate was what I really needed in that point in my life, just to quiet myself. My body was quiet, but not my mind.
Mm.
I never gonna forget a meditation I did in that moment in my life. It was called Love Your Body.
Mm.
And in that moment, I realize and I understand how hard I was with my body in all my life.
Wow.
Was to really understand all that my body done for me each day. When I get out of my bed, I always push in my body to do more and more and more and more and more. I talked to you about how was my life in 3D animation. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm really angry." But I'm not angry with my family. I'm angry with myself.
Right.
I realized emotions came to us like tools,
Yeah.
tools in life. Again, returning about talking about the good and the bad, there's no good and bad emotions. We just need to feel them, to understand them, and to know what those emotions are telling to us. And in that moment in my life, um, being angry was telling me in my life, you need to say no.
Mm.
You need to say no, and you need to be yourself.
Wow.
So when I understand that, it was like this emotion that was stuck in here begin to flow through all my body.
Yeah.
It was really emotional for me in that moment. It was like I could really feel my own love.
Mhm. It's interesting too, because when we're okay to say no to things, we're able to say yes to us.
Yes.
Because when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Like it's that it has, one thing gets sacrificed. And so as you're sharing that, I'm thinking about a couple of things for me where I'm in my life okay to say no, and then it's a yes back to me.
Yes.
So it's beautiful. I would love for you to share as you're talking about chakras, and it's interesting because many times when I first met you, the tank tops and the t-shirts, you always had chakras on the
Yes.
back. Like I need those outfits. So I would love for you to share, because it makes so much sense to me that your brand is Unicorn Flow, and it's just such a beautiful birthing, I would say, for everything that you've been through, that now you're able to shine that gift and that light to other people. So were you like, how did that come to you? Did you just know it that that was going to be your brand, or was it through meditation? Because it's such a beautiful representative of who you are, and I just it's a pleasure to watch as you're growing so much, even just since I met you, because you've made some significant decisions in your own career and all the work that you've been doing to say no to certain things in a different way so that you could say yes to this growth that is happening for you as you're literally taking this brand globally. And I'm just it's such an honor for me to be any support of that. So tell us more about Unicorn Flow, and did that just come to you because of everything, or how did that unfold for you?
As I share with you, I think most of the hardest things in my life was to accept myself. So I think one of the biggest messages I want to share with the world is just be yourself and don't be scared about that.
Mhm.
And again, talking about the unicorns being unique, it's like just love yourself the way you are. And I think that when you really learn how to love yourself and when you let yourself be yourself, everything flows in your life.
It totally does.
So that's why I love to call it the unicorn flow.
Mhm.
Just be yourself.
Mhm.
Let yourself be. And to understand that you can change all the time.
Right.
You don't have to be or you don't need to be the same all your life.
Right. It's so true.
And that's something I even keep learning,
Yeah.
through all my path.
Yeah. Because we can get so stuck on, well, this is how I do it and this is who I am, even if it is like a business or a career, or even if it's a relationship, we can, you know, get stuck in staying somewhere because we feel like, well, we're already there anyway. So try to maybe even like make things work to keep it, rather than knowing that it's okay to have to move through things. Because a lot of times we can also define something like, oh, I quit something, or I failed, but really it's just movement through, like it's a process, right? And so again, it almost allows us to not look at anything as like beginning or ending, but just flowing through something that doesn't have to be failing or quitting or ending.
Yes.
So I love that, because
That's
with the
right.
flow, it just reminds me of that when I think about your brand. So you were talking about Taoist medicine and Chinese medicine. And I love the work that you do. You work with the five, what'd you call it, elements, or how? I would love for you to talk about
It's
that.
called the 5 movements.
The 5 movements.
Yes.
And you have been running workshops, like series of workshops around those. So what are the 5? We did the liver together and the heart. And what are the others?
It's liver, heart, stomach,
Yep.
lungs, and kidney.
Okay. Can you share what some of the emotional components are for each of those because you actually talked about the liver with when you were going through your wellness.
Yeah, being angry, it's really interesting. Because when we get into the Taoist medicine, they talk about these 5 movements. Each movement is related to an internal organ, an emotion, a season. So the Taoist medicine shows you how your body is connected with the whole universe.
Wow.
Not just with the world.
Yeah.
With the stars too.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful. I love it. But when I began to it was what I wanted is to know myself. So talking about emotions, I think is one of the biggest topics I used to talk about when I share it. Um, when we talk about the liver is getting angry. Angry is what actives. I don't like to say affect, because it depends of how you move on when you feel that emotion.
Right.
It was affecting my liver because it was stuck in there. And I didn't tell you about it, but I guess I lived with varicocele for maybe 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Before I realized I've got it.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it was a long time ago. Wow. And I need to share with you that 70% of men in the whole world have varicocele, and they didn't even know about it.
Wow. I've never
Yes.
heard of it until you shared your story
Yes.
with me.
It's really interesting. I would love um, to investigate more about it, because when we talk about varicocele, is talking about sexuality,
Mhm.
what is happening in men's mind
Mhm.
that got us stuck in that.
Mhm.
Maybe we want to reach something, or we have some expectations about ourselves. It's
Right.
not even about what the world thinks about us, it's what we think about ourselves.
Right. In our perspective.
Yes,
Wow.
it's completely. So I think it's a huge topic to talk
Yeah.
about. But what returning to the Taoist, liver is angry. The next one is the heart,
Mhm.
happiness. No? Uh, but when we talk about Taoist medicine, it's about the balance in life. So we find that these five movements, these five emotions, they can help each other, and that one emotion can take you out of another. So again, it's not good to be all the time happy, and it's not good to be all the time angry. We need to go through all of these emotions and just to pay attention to them. Angry, happiness. Stomach is not really an emotion. When we talk about the stomach, it's about our thoughts.
Mm.
um, when we got some stomach problems, it's because we have a lot of thoughts stuck in our mind, and we're like thinking all the time, and we can let them go.
Yeah. It's funny because some people use like words like I can't stomach it. Right.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like these, when you think about it, it actually means that though, because it's almost like we can't digest information
Yes,
because it's too
that's true.
much. So like a lot. Yeah. So it's interesting when you
It's the
think about it.
same.
Yeah.
No, it's
Amazing.
basically the same.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. It's like learning to be responsible of yourself,
Mhm.
because I think that most of the time when we got something, when we experience something, or when we get sick, we used to guilt something or someone
Mhm.
about what we are experiencing.
Mhm.
But what happens about our own responsibility,
Yeah.
you know? So that's why I love it. It's like to be really responsible of yourself and of your feelings and all your actions and your thoughts. It's all about you all the time.
All the time. I don't
Yes.
love hearing that all the time. But it's interesting too, because if you, after you were diagnosed with this, if you didn't give yourself and gift yourself an opportunity to see what are you going through and why is this showing up,
Yes.
because there's a very good book out, there's many beautiful books out, but there's one called The Body Keeps the Score. Right. And so if you would have not looked at yourself, it could have gotten so much worse. Who knows where it would have gotten, and you would have felt not in power of your own body. So by you making a decision, I'm feeling angry, where am I not showing up for my own truth?
Yes.
How am I not using my voice to be my own unique unicorn self? But then we would be waiting for the doctors to fix it. Or, it's just, it's so much more empowering whenever we can take responsibility, and then we can create wellness through illness, our own selves, obviously with the support of other people. But it's amazing when you think about that. And because a lot of like disease outside of it, it's a multitude of things. It could be environment, but also mostly it is emotional.
Yes.
And so that's where the Taoist medicine
Yeah, show me.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yes, completely.
It's amazing.
And as you said, I think that the one thing that really saved me was being really curious about life.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing how life has been um, bringing some other guys during my yoga practices that got varicocele too.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And it's amazing because you know that most of the people that comes to yoga classes are women.
Yeah.
No? And even when there are like no much men in my classes, most of them has shared with me that they got varicocele, but they weren't curious enough to look for some another answers as I did
Right.
know. Um, yes, I think that's why I love to share it.
Mhm. Because you never know, one person hears your story and says, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then it literally, we never know when our story is going to create a ripple effect. We don't get to know all of the time when something like sharing that can help.
Yes, I think everything in life has a reason to be. There's no coincidences. So each part of your body tells something about yourself, about the way you feel, the way you think, and the way you are. There is something I love to say. Your body shows you what your soul is shouting.
Wow. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. What are the other two? So you have the liver, the heart, the stomach,
Stomach, yeah.
the lungs.
The lungs. Sadness. Yes.
Wow.
We are right now in that season, the autumn.
Okay.
It's when you realize how all the world is connected with you. Because I think that this season is one of the moments in our lives when we get really sick about our lungs, our nose,
congestion.
Yes.
I'm
And
never going to look at a sniffy nose the same.
most of the reasons, if you look at this season, we are really sad because we're ending
Summer.
a year. We're ending a year. It's like we're going to change. So we're letting go things. We're remembering things that we done or that we weren't able to make. So then you can get sad, about
you're
all of
reflecting
this.
on the
Yes.
past.
Yes.
And then what's the fifth one?
The kidney. And the emotion of this is it's like the hardest. Being scared.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes. This emotion is this can take so much energy in your body if you don't know how to move it, how to go through it. What we were talking about. And it's really beautiful because when we talk about the kidney got all the ancestral energy.
Okay.
Because
it's not always our own.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's connected with all the patterns and the family, all the things that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So I think the kidney is like one of the, I love it. And I love it because when I share these workshops, I end with this organ. So it's like I'm always expecting to arrive to that moment.
Oh, so you're excited.
Yes, all the time.
They don't know what.
No, I love it. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Every time I share, I give a class, I give workshops. It's so much to me. It means so much to me when I see their faces when they get inside of the classroom and they're like, yeah, I'm living just here, passing my time. And when they get out, they are completely different. The expressions, the energy, and that means all to me.
I love that. So I would love to, because you have a lot of fun things happening. So you've done a few series already over the last year, a couple of different separate series workshops that you've done and I've seen, I follow you obviously on social media. Yes. A lot of people have been taking and going through your process, which I think is beautiful. And so I would love to learn about what you have coming up for 2025. I know we're doing a few local, but you are opening up your gift with online Zooms. Can you tell us more about what's coming up? And I will make sure to put it in the description as you're growing. I know we're growing some as you move into 2025. So what does that look like?
Yeah.
Zooms or?
A pleasure. I'm thinking about sharing these workshops, as you said, online, Google Meet.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm gonna make some workshops, Spanish, some English, because I wanna reach different kind of people. Um, so I'll keep making these workshops here at Mazatlan.
Yeah.
I think it's completely different, but I will love the people that it's not here right now with me, that can get this information and this energy at the end. When we talk about yoga, when we talk about Taoist medicine, it's all about energy, and the energy has no time, has no space. So it's gonna work the same even if we work it online. So I'm gonna be like mixing, I'm gonna begin in January sharing this 5 series workshop. It's gonna be in Spanish, it's gonna be online. And then I'm gonna make it English, but here in Mazatlan, just to connect with some people in here. And then I'm gonna make it online English. So I'm gonna be like mixing, because I want to keep the energy, like flowing and going through.
Yes. I love it. So where can we find you on Instagram, Facebook? Where's the best place to follow you?
I used to post more at Instagram, as Unicorn Flow, unicorn.flow. You can find me too.
And I'll put it in the
at
show notes.
Facebook. I have my fan page.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna begin to. I already opened my YouTube channel, so I'm gonna be sharing information too over there, sharing some classes. By the way, I'm gonna give some classes in Instagram, but I'm gonna make live sessions.
Oh, good.
Instagram.
That's great.
Yeah.
In English and Spanish?
Yes. Soon. Yeah,
I have a lot of friends who are always asking about this unicorn, and now I want to share you with them. They're waiting.
I have already done some Spanglish classes. Yes. Some classes where I talk Spanish, then English, and Spanish and English. It's really funny.
I love that. So I always like to end with a question, and I never know what the question is. So I want to ask you, we're now at the end of 2024, we're moving into, and you're doing a lot of different evolving of your brand. So if you were to be yourself at the end of 2025, what advice would you give the unicorn now to remind him to keep going? So what is some unicorn of the future advice for you right now to help you through this next year as you're growing and evolving everything you're doing?
An advice for myself.
Yes.
Never betray yourself.
I love that.
Yes.
I don't even want to ask for more. That's like very touching.
Yes.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah. I can even share more about it because I think almost all my life I was betraying myself because I didn't want to lose people. I mean, talking about my family, I betray so much myself because I didn't want to lose them. And it was hard because I didn't lose them, but I lose myself. And it was really hard for me to get in touch with me. So right now it will be like never. If I'm okay with me, with myself, everything's gonna be okay.
Right.
All around me, with all my people.
Yeah.
So
and your family's still around you.
Yeah. Yeah, completely.
Absolutely.
And again, all is inside of me. It's all about me.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Oh, I love you. Thank you
Love
so
you
much.
too.
You're such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Cheers. And
Always.
cheers to happy and smiles. Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Awesome.
A pleasure.
Well, I'm so grateful, and just wanted to say thank you to my beautiful audience and community that takes an opportunity whenever you share with me that you've spent an hour listening to or watching the Lucy Smiles Living Room. My heart just beats a mile a minute. It's such a powerful place, and for me to share with you these beautiful souls that I've now called friends And I just want to say, if this resonates with you and if you could share this, there's always a part of someone's story that other people need to hear. And so I just want to say thank you again to Bernardo, AKA the Unicorn. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
See you guys.